So I'd like to thank you for joining us this afternoon or this early evening. And once again, we welcome you, Alessia, and thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us again.
Thanks to you, Berta.
Yes, and today we continue with the art of negotiation in business. And this topic, to be honest, I've had much feedback from many people who have said, look, it has really helped me understand my audience. It has helped me appreciate how I need to approach different people in different cultures, in different environments. And I think last week you shared a lot with us, Alessia, where we understood how to have mutual benefit, how to create a negotiation with mutual benefit for both parties, and how to reach the win-win position, and how to have a backup plan to be able to counter maybe some situations which will have met unexpected situations. So, and I think I mentioned last week how I appreciated applying the smart grid to allow yourself to have a matrix of understanding and measurability and reality of actually whether you're on track to win this negotiation. So we continue this week. And as I welcome those who are joining us, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining the E4Impact Foundation Innovation Webinars. And if you're not aware who E4Impact is and what we do, we're excited about empowering and training entrepreneurs across Africa. So we focus on bringing to you programs and certificates that allow you to be able to be skilled, and tools that allow you to scale your business. So whether you're at idea stage or at startup stage or at growth stage, we are able to bring you in, and our programs allow you to understand how to build a sustainable business model. We're very passionate about impact economically to improve livelihoods of people. We're passionate about impact, social impact, and environmental impact. So I'll just briefly share a few slides, and also be able to allow you to appreciate our different centers where you are able to contact our program leaders or business coaches who run our programs with the different institutions that we work with. We are passionate about training impact entrepreneurs, and we work with universities across Africa with a footprint of 18 universities that we work with, being the leading voice in training and providing programs that allow you to learn how to apply entrepreneurship with a focus on impact and scaling and job creation. We partner with companies, with corporates that allow us to sponsor entrepreneurs, that allow us to create platforms for financing, that allow us to create platforms to create new markets for our entrepreneurs or alumni who join our program. The advantages so far of being part of the E4Impact Alliance and programs is that access to finance is something that we are continuously working towards, and we have achieved investment in our alumni and our students with a maximum of 2.5 million. And our alumni have been trained to understand producing a sustainable financial model so that they're able to access finance from different players in the industry, in the finance sector. We are passionate about creating a market and therefore increasing the client base of our alumni and up to 87%. And obviously, in increasing client base, we are encouraged to create sustainable models that allow an increase in turnover as well. Strategic partners are very important, and such platforms as this networks, we enable you to be able to meet. We do send an email to all of you, and appreciate that you will be able to join the program and join the E4Impact Alliance. In the next few months, we are preparing now for the edition for 2023 for most of our programs across our alliance partners. And you can go to our social media platforms and our website, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you'll be able to see our partners and see and the contact details of the person you can speak to be able to participate in our programs, whether it's in our accelerators, our MBA program, or certificate programs. In Tunisia, we are at Université Centrale de Tunis. You can be able to speak to Sheikha there. And Kenya, Tangaza University College. In Sudan, we are at the University of Medical Science and Technology. In Rwanda, we are at the University of Rwanda. In Zimbabwe, we are at the Catholic University of Zimbabwe. In Mozambique, we are at St. Thomas University of Mozambique. And in Ethiopia, we are at St. Mary's University. But of course, please follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and our website, and you get more information about our projects and our programs and all our contact details. At the moment, you can actually throw in a message in the chat box and ask if you have any questions. Someone will respond to you. So let me move on. Alessia, thank you so much for joining us. Alessia is an expert in institutional development of organizations, and negotiation is a critical part of capacitating the people that run any institution. So I hand over to you to give us your thoughts today.
Thank you, Mrs. Berta, and thank you to all the participants. And please stay connected and to all the events, activities, and impacting activities E4Impact could arrange for you, potential would-be entrepreneur. So in my first webinar, we focus over what is a win-win negotiation. Taking into account that a kind of win-win negotiation could apply also to personal situation, business negotiation, and institutional negotiation. So up to your role in the community, in the society, you're having your CV role, you can be engaged in this kind of win-win negotiation. Today, we will focus over the different stages and process of negotiation, of business negotiation, but also institutional negotiation, so that you can understand how is really important and how is what is required to be done before entering any kind of negotiation. Okay, so I will share right now with you my slides, and please, as Berta suggested, you can use question and answer section for questions to my attention, and I'll be glad to reply you in real time. So what is I'm just starting with so this is the second meeting, and this is the market I was used to attend to buy my fruits and my vegetable in Mbeya in Tanzania when I was deployed during my short-term experience with American Corporation 3 years ago. So what are the topics we are going to focus today? What is a business negotiation process? What are some top tips in a communal settings? Because as mostly requirements is to create a communal setting with our counterparts, both being individual or a team, because maybe we will be engaged as an individual or as a team leader or a member of a team, and we must be able to create a common ground. And some other tips, I will provide you with some other basic tips in business negotiation. First of all, define what is a negotiation process. A process in which the parts are independent, the parts or the parties are independent. We have different interests and also different position, but we have accurately precise which is the difference in between interest and position, and whereas there isn't a big difference in power in decision making of both the participants of both the team involved, and both of us we are looking for a mutual satisfaction agreement. Both of us we gain benefits. So The effectiveness of the negotiation process firstly depends on the ability of the party to understand mutual interests and position, as we have already focused in our first webinar. We must be able to seek and to implement solutions that can satisfy everyone's interests and needs. And we have I highlighted the ability, the skills to find out of the box solution, creative solution. The agreement must be mutually controlled and ruled by the parties making use of the grid. Mrs. Berta told you we have the smart grid, and you can refer in the slides we have focused in the first webinar. And negotiation again takes place when subjects with divergent objectives, but with a common willingness to seek an agreement, develop and discuss proposal capable of leading to it. So this is a sort of recap. Which are the necessary conditions of any kind of negotiation process applying to institutional or business environments? First, having compatible but at the same time conflicting goals. Being able to communicate each other. This is a basic requirement, to be able to communicate each other and to understand and to understand and perceive other feeling, sentiments, giving and providing and understanding feedbacks. Flexibility, the possibility of to create intermediate solutions, and the autonomy in the terms of that each party must be able to make an offer and counter offer temporary. So each of us has the willingness, the power, and the decision making to sign the agreement. What if we enter a negotiation process because we have the so-called potential deficiency? That means that each of us have not all the resources necessary to achieve the goals. Otherwise, we will do it alone by ourselves without entering in negotiation with our counterparts. So there is, and that is very important, there is no predetermined behavioral models that rules the methods of working together. I mean, we must be able to find the most proper, adequate, and creative solution which allows us to work, to cooperate, to implement a cooperative approach with other. Okay. Even if the others, and I'm replying to Mrs. Arline or Mr. Arline Cavota from Kampala, if he or she is present, even if the counterpart has a negative opinions regarding us. There is also the so-called balance of powers. Neither party can alone determine their own or the other's behaviors in working together. Okay, and again, only if there is a perceived advantage, a mutual advantage or benefits, we will run a win-win negotiation. So to negotiate, it is necessary that neither party will be able to impose its solution, otherwise it's not a negotiation, it's enforcement. And it's necessary that there is no lack of agreement for shoulders, less advantage situation for both. Otherwise, there is a disregard situation. Which are the phases or the stage of a business negotiation process, but this is also apply to an institutional negotiation process. To prepare, and again prepare, to discuss, to be able to enter having a meaningful discussion, to be able to clarify our mutual goals, and in this stage to negotiate towards a win-win outcome, to sign the agreement, and afterwards implementing the so-called course of actions. So we will focus in each of these stages. And please, should you have any kind of queries of question, I mostly welcome to reply you. So what I mean in the expression, in the sentence preparation, preparation, preparation? We must be ready. We must be prepared. We must plan meeting, first of all. We must know about the facts, about who want what they want to achieve and why, which are their real motivation. I remind you the slides regarding the interest and the position, the iceberg model. What I say I want, what I really need. What I say I want are the position. What I really need are the motivation. So my interests. So create a common groundwork, a common environment, building around communalities, understand who is playing the roles. I'm really a decision maker. Who is my counterpart? He or she or they are decision maker. There is a facilitator. There is somebody who is providing only advice, or understand effectively who are my counterparts. And usually for most complex and most difficult negotiations, you are required to make the context, environment, and stakeholder assessments in order that you can accurately understand and assess who are your counterparts, where you are engaged, okay, and who is leading, who is the authority, who is the decision maker. Be able to discuss, to speak, to tell, to understand, but first of all, to actively listening and proactively listening. Ask the who question: why, what, who, how, when, so that you can create also an empathy. We have highlighted how much is important to achieve the most higher level of empathy with your counterparts. And put questions, so questioning, clarify the terms. Maybe if we are an English or French native speaker, we don't have we don't provide the same meaning to the same words, because house could evocate a meaning for me, who are an Italian, and for another for an English native speaker could evocate something really or lightly different. And take notes, take minutes, take notes of every kind of adjustment to be done, because in the future you won't be able to remember all the details. Clarifying goals, what does it mean? Prioritize each goals from your side and from the side of the counterparts, and establish again the common grounds and stress commonalities. We build relationships, we build and establish relationship about commonalities. What is melting with the other parts, not what is making the difference with the other parts. Okay, analyze the needs and the wants, again really connected to interest and position, and avoid conflicts. Any kind of conflicts must be avoided. Okay, so as Gisela and Chiapi say, any kinds of conflicts must be avoided. In any kinds of conflicts, we must be able to communicate. Even if we don't speak, also don't speak is a form, a way of communication. So how can I be diplomatic in a situation of conflict without access to open communication is the question put by Gisela. I must be also be fair and polite and respectful, even if there is a conflict situation. And if I negotiate, there will be a sort of conflict negotiation, because we are asking and starting from different interest and position. Okay, and how we, by Chiapi, Frederick, how do we develop a monitoring tool to help in assessing the impact of negotiation during and after any type of conflict? The smart grids I provided to you during the first webinar. So use the approach, the methodology of brainstorming all the possible solutions and alternatives to the agreement. We spoke about the button best alternative to non-agreement in the first webinar. Prioritize and list it. Okay. So aim for win-win, but remember button I've already mentioned. And do not be have a rushing approach. I mean, even if we have scheduled a narrow time, do not rush in any kind of negotiation, because you can create not a gentle, kind, and I would say adequate environment if I will rush to my win for a win negotiation, rushing. Okay. If we are stuck at an impasse, we have some we can have some we can sort it out, revisiting our option, and the option could be the best deal, the worst deal, the best deal I can accept, the worst deal I can reject, and in between, the good deal I could accept. And if there is, if I cannot sign any kind of agreement, if I cannot accept any kind of agreement, and the condition is to leave it, always do it in a good terms, because today cannot be done, cannot be signed, but in the future, maybe my counterpart and me as counterpart could be considered a potential partner, commercial or institutional partner. So I see that most participants are joining us, mostly welcome. If they are maybe coming back home from office. After signing our agreement, we must implement a course of action, and the course of action requires the clarity. We must be able to sketch, to draw clear targets, clear work plan, clear scheduling. Okay, and as I highlighted before, formalize as soon as possible all we have done in writing. So the agreement, the most accurate, the memo, the minutes, the letter. If we are perceiving the possibility of a failure to agree to sign up, there is any kind of as a conflict is inevitable, especially where there is no power balance. How do we overcome predetermined opinions that influence decision making? Allora, let me read again. Which kind of predetermined opinions that influence decision making? I mean, why conflict must be inevitable? We are inside a negotiation, so a light conflict is inevitable. but we must not let conflicts becomes greater. So again, predetermined opinions. You must suspend the judgment. So you cannot make any kind of opinion of your counterpart. In the first webinar, one of the assumption provided by Fisher and Uri in their win-win negotiation is do not entangle person with problems. So we are not allowed to make any kind of judgment towards the person in front of us. I don't know whether or not I've accurately replied to the questions. Please let me know in the chat box. So our attitudes is firstly to create trusty relationship, to build, establish trusty relationship, and to foster, enhance empathy. Okay, empathy and trust are the key words. Even if they have a bad opinion, but they shouldn't, over us, we must create a trusty environment, establish a trusty relationship, ruled by empathic environments. Okay, so there is, which are again, using a different perspective, we can also split the phases of negotiation in a before, a during, and after. So before, we need to analyze and to plan. During, we must investigate interests and needs, and opening and styles. We must be able to communicate, listen, observe, generate alternatives using strategies and tactics, and after to reformulate and to explicit the agreements. So going to the conclusion, we must be able to prepare a negotiation plan. We must design and plan a negotiation plan. So we have different ways and modality. A diagnosis, I mean the collection of information of our competitors, the market, the turnover, the channel, the trend. Define the objective, my target, the best deal, the worst deal, and the good deal I can accept. The strategy and the tactics, which are the alternatives, the opening moves, the different styles. We focus over the 5 negotiation styles in the first webinar. Then I will skip target. You can just go through simply by yourself, and understanding again the needs of other party. Use always a soft style with people and stiff on principle, as suggested by Fisher and Uri, and be over global mindset, global open mindset. Show a global open mindset. Okay. Our bargain, our target is to reach our goal. So there is difference in between strategy, tactics, and techniques. So the strategy is the way in which we aim to pursue our goal. The tactics is the set of maneuvers performed according to a logical plan to achieve certain short-term objectives. And the techniques are the specific behaviors adopted in various negotiation situations. So again, in the ending stage of the negotiation process, the negotiation agreement must be identified and designed and signed using a creative approach. We must be able to formulate an agreement based over specific criteria and standards, so we can rule and monitor and evaluate the effectiveness and the successful of our agreements. And we can also create the condition, the requirements for future agreements. So concerning our top tips in communal setting, establish credibility, reliability, trust, enhance empathy relationship, be patient, be able to build alliances with our counterparts, repeat our points if they haven't been understood. Be clear. Implement an effective and efficient communication. Understand which are the drivers of our underparts. Pickle the battles and not pickle the war, because it's little battles we are conducting. Picking accurately the time, because we have scheduled our time stages, our time negotiation stages, and massage our egos. We are not alone in a business or an institutional negotiation, so we must be able sometimes to leave our self-ego and to work adequately and cooperative with others and with the other counterparts. And regarding the specific business negotiation, some tips: always ask for more than you expect. Approach the negotiation as a problem with a problem-solving approach. Always be willing to take the risk we are approaching, and be persistent. Don't give up at the first difficulties. Treat the negotiation as a game, and appreciate the power of time. If you manage accurately the time, could be a real partner. And remember, there is always a plan B, a button if you in terms of walking away if necessary. And again, a win-win negotiator approach must be an emotional approach. They must show respect. They must be fair and impartial. But even if they are not conducting a win-win negotiation. As the last tips I will leave you, and I will be ready in a few minutes for your kind of questions. I will leave you with the cultural dimension provided by Hofstede, Trompenas, and the cultural map of Erin Meyer. I usually make use of this cultural dimension of the cultural map to suggest my students how to leverage their business or institutional negotiations, because each culture has a perception, as a different perception of the power distance, of the terms of individualism, of the time, of the avoidance of the, I mean, this is updated, quite updated, I mean, but the terms of the role of the women and men, even if we are not speaking anymore about women and men, but about gender, the short-term and long-term orientation, restraint and indulgence, and also the cultural dimension were most accurately analyzed by Trompenas in the late 90s, and he focused over some of them different cultural dimension. And as last kind of cultural approach, I would suggest you to make use when meeting with other people from other culture, is to refer to the cultural map delivered by Professor Erin Meyer, who is a lady, American lady, professor at the university of different university in Paris, who provided with different levels: communication, persuasion, trust, evaluation, disagreement, deciding or decision making, leadership, and scheduling. Because again, coming from different culture, we have different approach in managing these different levels. And descending from what we have spoken about and focused, different kind of communication, explicit and implicit communication, which is the basic requirement to conduct a good win-win negotiation, a good process negotiation. So you can see that explicit communication is belonging to English native countries, and some countries based in the northern part of Europe, while indirect communication, the so-called implicit communication, is much more applying to countries put in the southern part of Europe and in Arab countries. And okay, now this is not a question, there is a question. Thank you for the cultural myths part of the presentation. It has helped me understand your answer. Okay, okay, great, great. So I'm just leaving. I'm just leading some kinds of a quarter of an hour, 20 kinds of questions. Mrs. Burton?
Yes, thank you, Alessia. Thank you so much. So I think you've answered most of the questions that came through in terms of the webinar today. And so I wanted to talk to you about age, you know, in negotiation and
age.
Yes, age.
Okay.
We've talked about culture, but let's talk about age, you know. What other tips can you give? Because sometimes, I mean, I know from my studies of international relations that there are some communities whereby you can't even go and represent your organization if you're not at the same age or standing of the people that you're negotiating with. And you have to hire people to do that. But then in this day and age, especially over Zoom and all these restrictions we've had, what tips can you give?
Okay, so age is a critical element, because if the elder you are, the most experienced you should be. But nevertheless, even if you are experienced, if you are old, I mean old intra brackets, respectful for any kind of gender, you must be experienced. And in some occasion, in some environments, to conduct a good negotiation, we can also seek and look for the so-called facilitator, who is a person who try to get both the parties. Usually, when you gather people in a team from different countries, different cultures, different professional experience, and you kick up a project, an international project, or any kind of multicultural projects in which different cultures are melted. So there is usually, you can refer and address and ask the service of a facilitator. And the facilitator could be a person able to get to address the person about the targets, the timing, our ability, the approach and the methodology we are using to make that kind of task or assignments, not necessarily in a real negotiation.
Great. And I think someone had asked a question there in the question and answer, the one up. Oh, no.
No, it's thank you for the cultural methods parts
Yeah.
of the presentation.
There's one before that. They said, as conflict is inevitable, especially where there is no power balance, how do we overcome predetermined opinions that influence decision making? I think you touched on it.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
And I think also, yeah. So, but let's talk about power balance. You know,
our power balance is decision making and leadership, because usually, if we are involved in any kind of negotiation, business or institutional negotiation, we should be at the same level of our counterparts as far as decision making and leadership, and all the power descending from leadership. So unless we are asked by our supervisor to enter a negotiation in which we are a junior and we are opposite a senior, we must ask for any kind of the power to our supervisor. The limits to which is my limit in terms of budgets, economical, financial, timing, I mean scheduling, which are the borders. I can't go, the borders I cannot go beyond. Okay, so there are some cases, some occasion in which even a young practitioner is able to engage a meaningful negotiation with an older one, because you see the leverage, the skills, the methods at the university gives you the opportunity to set up some role-playing simulation at the university, which could help you. While in the previous years, when you graduated at the university, it was obviously, I'm referring to Italian university system. It was much more theoretical framework. Nowadays, we are trying to bridge the gap in between academia, educational and university environment, and job environment, so that we can provide students with soft skill or characterial skills, as literature call them nowadays. So this means the ability to team building, public speaking, managing conflict, managing time, managing stress, which are unavoidable for a good negotiation. But I think that's about the soft skills. You will be speaking in the last webinar conducted by the Professor Rana.
Thank you. I think you've actually answered that was my next question, to say what other things or can I teach myself to be a better negotiator? And those are the ones that you've just mentioned in the last few minutes. So, and I think psychologically, you know, our background is something that is very, very important. And I know the framework runs away from my mind right now, that what you've experienced in life as you are moving prepares you to deal with different people and have the skill to deal with different people. So I'd like to thank you so much for that. And I think we have nearly reached the end of our session today. And so I think there's a message there. Hi, great insightful presentation. I'm learning as a marketer. Please share recording. Yes, definitely. The recording will be shared on our YouTube channel. You can look for it in a few days' time, that you'll find the recording. And please feel free to contact any of us on our social media platforms, and we'll be able to refer to you if you have any more questions.
Yes, of course, with pleasure.
Yes. No, thank you so much for joining us once again, Alessia, and further expanding. I appreciated the business negotiation process. Preparation is very, very important. I think preparation is important in every environment. Discussion, I appreciate it, to stop and discuss and appreciate being empathetic in the discussion. Clarification of goals is something which is very important. And I think if we don't have clear goals and objectives of what we are trying to achieve, we might not reach that.
Time wasting.
Yes.
Energy, time, and money.
Exactly. So for us to reach a negotiated win-win and reach an agreement, we must have these. And of course, the last one you mentioned was implementing a course of actions. Very, very important to come out with. I think we have a lot of conversations that do not end with an implementation plan. Who is responsible? When?
What? And when?
What are we doing?
How?
Exactly. How are we doing it? And due dates.
Due dates, the due delivery, yes, exactly.
Yes, it's very important to then know when exactly this should be done, so
and
that
what must be delivered as well.
Yeah, and what exactly the deliverables. So exactly. the deliverables and yeah, so it's very important to state the goals, objectives, and the deliverables. Very, very important.
Yeah,
So that
yeah, it would be a time to spend over it, but again, these are sort of drops of some of my experience, and I would be glad if you could share with E4Impact in presence. Maybe I don't know when, why. I would be glad to join you wherever in Africa, where I spent a very, very short time of life in 3 years ago. So
no,
again,
I hope you will be able to join as the alliance has grown. You can come through to one of the boot camps and share more on negotiation. And I think I also enjoyed that one last moment, the conditions that you talked about that set an environment for a good negotiation process. And I think this is something that is a continuous effort on the part of the people who are negotiating to always create the right environment. And I liked the soft approach, but assertive on principles.
exactly.
So, yeah, soft approach, assertive on principles. We usually switch that. We switch that. We have an assertive approach, and then the principles are waving away and changing here and there. So I'll end on that note to emphasize a soft approach and assertive on maintaining the principles. Alessia, thank you so much. I've learned so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Bertha.
Thank you so much. And we hope to have you back soon. But of course, I know you are open to further engagements after this. And the YouTube channel link has been put up in the chat box. Please go ahead and check and you'll be able to see what the other sessions we've had. And once
the next
again,
one.
don't forget, yes, of the next one, exactly. And don't forget to go on our social media pages. If you're interested in any of our programs, you can actually be able to participate in more exciting stuff, and we bring you more exciting topics, and we share ideas, and we meet experts and professionals like Alessia who are willing to share from their experiences.
And
I wish you all a
please
very good...
join E4Impact events, bootcamps initiative, which could really support you in your would-be entrepreneurs activities.
Thank you so much. I see thanks from Marelda, thanks from Ozia. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
The same for all you, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.